Lidar is rapidly changing the way we monitor and do work. This video, we're going to give you a sneak peek at how drones are being flown beyond line of sight. The impacts might surprise you. Greg is going to talk to us about how the fusion of long-range drones in Lidar is going to change how traditional power utility companies monitor their assets. Stick around to the end. You do not want to miss this one. All right. Hey, Greg, welcome to the show. And so for the folks that are new here or don't know who you are, could you explain, who Phoenix Air is and what you guys do and how'd you get into all this?
Actually, I'm in the unmanned division. So Phoenix Air Unmanned is a sister company to Phoenix Air Group, which is a Part 135, Part 91 air carrier. We do a lot of the mothership, as we call it, does a lot of work with government agencies and such, air ambulance work. And about 9-10 years ago, some of the executives were at lunch and say, "Hey, drones are getting to be a big thing. We should start up a drone division." So long story short, I came on as a pilot back early on. I was the only pilot for a while. And that's been about, I think I'm going on my 8th year now. And current title is a UAS Senior Solutions Engineer. So I kind of deal with the technical stuff, the integration of sensors and payloads, command and control links, those kind of things. Right.
Okay. And for our audience that doesn't know what a Part 135 is and why that's important, could you kind of tell our audience why that's important?
135 deals with air charters and carrying people for hire, essentially. There's a what's the word I'm looking for? A culture of safety that are ingrained in that, and we've taken on that 135 mentality here within Phoenix Air Unmanned as well. So we've developed process procedures to support all that and build the safety cases that we've needed to gain some waivers and approvals from the FAA, such as flying beyond visual line of sight.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and that's really what I was kind of getting at is the Part 135, yes, is a commercial carrier license, but has been kind of the gateway or the gold standard to allowing commercial beyond line of sight waivers. So
that's correct.
Yeah, and that's just awesome because it's growing, but there's very few still out there that are commercially doing that. And so that makes you guys a market leader, which is fantastic. Also, I mean, this is about Lidar. So what Lidar system did you guys have currently?
It's the Phoenix Lidar Systems Ranger UAV, which is based on the Regal VUX1 sensor.
Right. Okay. And, with that, why did you actually decide to use that system?
Well, we tend to focus on best-in-class payloads, whether it be RGB cameras or cinema cameras, and Lidar is no different. We wanted the most capable, most reliable sensor we could fly on an aircraft.
All right, and right now you're using the Alta X for a myriad of applications, correct? A lot of land survey and. Go ahead.
That's correct. We've flown that system on a couple of different platforms, but yes, currently flying on the Free Fly Systems Alta X.
Right.
And we have done some initial flights on a Swiss drone SDO V2, which is a gas turbine larger than 55 pound, doesn't fall into the small UAS category.
Right. That's definitely commercial license piloting. But what does that system actually afford you when you combine that with Lidar?
Well, it's a heavy lift, long endurance, 2.5 hour to 3 hour endurance. It can carry the simultaneous or multiple sensors, so we can fly the Lidar plus high resolution cameras to capture RGB data as we go simultaneously. Allows us to stay in the air for up to, depending on payload configuration and weight and how much fuel we can carry, up to between 30 and 50 miles. So that allows us to efficiently acquire the data for the client. We can fly complete circuits from substation to substations in regards to utility work or very large survey work.
So you have a beyond line sight waiver. You have an airframe that is is capable of beyond line of sight, and you have sensors like the Ranger UAV that is the hallmark standard for utilities. How is this a game changer? How is this disrupting that industry?
It's hard to compete with a manned helicopter just flying sheer linear miles in a day, let's say. But we don't have a what's the industry term? It's not a relocation fee, but you may pay $35,000 just to have the helicopter show up.
That's right.
So on a per mile basis, we can become more efficient over time, and being able to do it beyond visual line of sight is helping drive that efficiency more and more. With flying a traditional battery-powered electric UAV, we're limited to flights of, say, 20, 25 minutes, maybe a little longer depending on the platform. But with a gas turbine helicopter, that really opens it up to 2.5 hours in the air. And it all matters about, nothing matters more than the amount of flight time you're able to log in a day. As far as, the more you can log a day, you're increasing that efficiency and driving down that per mile cost. Right.
And that's probably the biggest thing, is that your cost per mile, and just to give you background, is like when I did these studies in the California District 11, you're right, the 20-minute interval was cost prohibitive because you constantly had to reposition both for the restrictions of line of sight and the restrictions of battery and even the communication network. With your now being able to fly those distances, you are now in a competitive marker where you are flying slightly less expensive drones than the helicopter system. You have a slightly different safety factor as far as the cost of manpower, and you're able to be on demand a lot better. Am I saying that correctly?
I think you are. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And then so with that and serving utilities with the Ranger UAV, what use cases can you actually serve on that?
So one that comes to mind that is a pretty big one is a annual NERC survey we did in conjunction with a third party that provided the analytics. And NERC is, if you don't know, is the North American Electric Reliability Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And they mandate these surveys that utilities conduct on their transmission line corridors, for instance. So they're looking for vegetation, and they're looking for potential fall-ins, so trees that could fall in, contact the conductors, grow in, stuff that's growing close by, and blow in from like storm events and things, I suppose. They prescribe, there's all kind of technical stuff into that. There's minimum conductor vegetation distance that's recommended depending on the size of the line and the elevation of the line. So one project we worked on was a 325 kV line. It was about 22 miles of transmission line. We flew all of that, and back then it was the first BVLOS Lidar survey for a utility. But we were flying, it took about 3 days to fly the 22 miles. I look back on that now and I think, wow, that 22 miles, we can knock that out. Well, with the Swiss drone, we can knock that out in one flight.
Right.
In about probably 2 hours and be done. So we collected that data and sent that to our client, or our the primary contractor on the project, and they did the analytics and produced a report showing the utility where the vegetation that needs to be addressed, whether it's pruned or removed or whatever. And then we went back the following year and flew the same transmission line corridor again, and that report served as proof that the vegetation had been addressed and kept them within NERC compliance.
With that capability, you do have a rapid deploy ability, or a faster mobility, with the BVLOS and a drone than, let's say, a helicopter system.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
We travel pretty light, 2 operational vehicles, the aircraft, and a crew of 4, 2 on each end. So we can rapidly deploy to an area and collect the data, kind of on a moment's notice. Kind of rewinding back to the disaster mitigation, one popular use with the utilities and the GIS folks and the utilities with LiDAR is to build a 3D model of their circuits and inventory their assets. So yes, that data can then be used for disaster response after the fact.
Right. So, in disaster response, it's not the timely turnaround to see where wind-blown damage and down power lines. It's more of a structural assessment for long-term, but rapid repair. So what's the engineering drawings that can come out of it?
And some are looking into, and we've worked with the Electric Power Research Institute and have a project probably coming up in the first quarter of next year with them, and they're interested in acquiring LiDAR data to do change detection. So if you have that 3D model existing in your GIS database and then go and collect a new survey, they can do the analytics on that and detect changes in the system, whether it be shifting in the structures or I don't know. I'm not a lineman, so I'm not sure what they're looking for, honestly.
Well, so when I used to consult for PricewaterhouseCoopers, the drone division, what you're talking about, the change detection, by the way, that's huge. But as you can have sedimentation, you can actually have twisting of the structure. So you have a myriad of things that can happen structurally to that, in addition to geomorphology and erosion that could actually push those poles.
Those are all great words. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. They're all very slight, but those slight adjustments can really affect a grid over time.
Right.
So, no, I'm glad you brought that up because that is huge, and a lot of people don't realize. They think they're looking at slack line or they're looking at vegetation management, which you described. But yes, that change management for LiDAR keeps coming up in all our interviews. So I thank you for bringing that up.
And what we find is within those utilities, they have various divisions that have interest in the same data. So they have the transmission line folks are interested in the structures, the erosion around the structures, those kind of things. Then the vegetation management folks have the interest in obviously the vegetation in the right of way. So the data is applicable across the gamut within the company.
Amazing. So, hey, really quick, this is Phoenix Lidar's 10-year anniversary. We haven't really talked a lot about Phoenix because of the capability, but is there anything you'd like to say to them? Because you were like one of the first adopters of their equipment.
Oh, wow. I want to say that I first met those guys probably 7 years ago. And we took possession of the VUX1, the Ranger system. And, they had a pretty okay suite of software. But the progress they've made has been phenomenal in a short amount of time. I remember talking to Ben specifically about software, and now they have a team of people that have really streamlined that software. And then with the introduction of Lidar Mill, the online processing suite, which we use, we find that to be very, very effective. And we prefer that over processing in-house when we can. Sometimes we have projects where they require us to process in-house. So I've been very impressed with the support from Phoenix Lidar. I just sent an email to Rob earlier asking a question. I got a response within about 5 minutes, and he wants to talk. Rob, he likes to talk. So that's I'll probably be talking to him later today about a potential project. I've been very impressed and very pleased with how they've grown and what they're able to offer to their customers.
Amazing. So you said you liked Lidar Mill. Can you explain the benefits to you guys in your workflows? What values does that actually offer to you?
Well, it takes the processing load off of us. We don't have to have the hardware, the computers, the data center to support all that. the licenses for Inertial Explorer or get into the TerraSoft suite or any of that stuff. It's easy for us to onboard new folks and train them up to be able to work with the LiDAR data. We have a new data lead who's taken all that on, and he got up to speed very quickly. Processing LiDAR can be very complex, and Lidar Mill has gone a long way into easing our pain on that front. Our biggest challenge is our customers aren't educated. So they know they want LiDAR, but they don't know why they want LiDAR sometimes, or they don't know what they want specifically. So being able to select, being able to easily generate DTMs, DEMs, contours, those kind of things from Lidar Mill has been a big plus for us. It's easy for us to go back, the customer asked for this, but they really wanted this, so we can go generate that based on the artifacts that are there in the project.
Excellent. So what you're saying is that you get the flexibility on your deliverables with the client. So you can come with a very generic suite and then help define with the customer in relative real time what they really want from the data set.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not every case, but some of the survey firms we work with, they're still traditional surveying methods, and LiDAR is still a new thing for them.
Right. Well, you've definitely been ahead of the curve, with drones and LiDAR and that, so that's amazing.
Yeah.
Greg, if somebody wanted to work with you, whether they want to use just your regular drone LiDAR capability, or if they want to explore your BVLOS capability, how would they work with you?
We make a lot of contacts at trade shows, industry trade shows, such as with the utilities or survey markets, geospatial shows, things like that. A lot of our projects come in through just somebody shoots us an email. They read about what we're doing in some of the trade publications, see a video like this on Phoenix Lidar's website, and they reach out, and then we'll discuss with the customer what their project is and what their specifications are, and how we can put together a project to suit their needs.
Okay. Well, what I'll do, Greg, is I'll leave a link in the bottom so that they can reach out directly to you, so you can start that conversation when they watch this video.
Great. Sounds good.
Wonderful. Greg, hey, thank you so much for coming out today. I know you guys are extremely busy right now, and it's a rare treat when I can get you, here on an interview to share your knowledge with us. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I think we only rescheduled this twice, didn't we? Yeah.
Only twice.
Only twice. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.